The chief executive of a travel platform, Seo Hee-hwan, has been tapped as the Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism. Also named by President Lee Jae-myung on Friday includes a lawmaker of the ruling Democratic Party, Kim Yoon-duk, as the Minister of Land, Infrastructure and Transport. South Korea, the U.S. and Japan hold their first high-level diplomatic talks since the launch of the Lee Jae-myung administration on the sidelines of the ASEAN Regional Forum in Malaysia, where the three sides reaffirmed their commitment to the complete denuclearization of North Korea and agreed to maintain a strong deterrence based on close trilateral coordination. The minimum wage for 2026 has been set at 10,320 Korean won, a 2.9% increase from the current rate, and the first unanimous agreement among labor, business, and public representatives in 17 years. Good evening. President Lee Jae-myung has now completed nominations for all 19 members of his first cabinet by filling the two remaining ministerial seats, culture and land. Our presidential office correspondent Yoon Jung-min starts us off.
President Lee Jae-myung has tapped Seo Hee-hwan, current CEO of travel platform Noor Universe, to lead the nation's Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism. The journalist-turned-CEO has brought enough experience to materialize President Lee's vision of a K-culture market worth 300 trillion won, which is worth some $218 billion. That's according to Lee's chief of staff, Kang Hoon-sik, on Friday. The same day, the ruling Democratic Party of Korea's lawmaker Kim Yoon-duk was named to lead the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport. The three-term lawmaker has served on the National Assembly's Land, Infrastructure and Transport Committee, in which Kang says he has proven competency in legislation and policy.
When it comes to real estate, he is expected to approach the issues from ordinary people's perspectives, not as a scholar or bureaucrat.
President Lee Jae-myung has warned of zero tolerance on speculation in real estate, often leading to housing market instability. The new land minister's focus will also be on balanced regional growth, while putting forth new visions for transportation and mobility, among others. With Friday's announcement, the appointment of the nominees for the Lee administration's first cabinet has been completed.
President Lee said he expects all government ministries to yield results in a speedy manner with competence and loyalty. He asked them to break away from customs in a bold manner and lead changes with fresh and flexible ideas for innovation in the society.
Kang went on to say the new administration will proactively take on pending issues, such as the U.S. pressure on tariffs, extreme heat at home, and the economy in the doldrums. The nominees will undergo confirmation hearings at the National Assembly, but they are not required to be approved for appointment. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
South Korea, the U.S. and Japan have held their first high-level trilateral meeting as ministers gather at the ASEAN Regional Forum over in Malaysia. The meeting comes amid both the trade and security tensions in the region and marks the Lee Jae-myung administration's first steps into regional diplomacy. For more, we have our correspondent Oh Soo-young on the line. Good evening, Soo-young.
Hi, Tammy.
So, Soo-young, the trilateral meeting came quite unexpectedly. Fill us in on what happened.
You're exactly right, Tammy. So South Korea's first Vice Foreign Minister Park Geun-ju held trilateral talks with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Japanese Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya on the sidelines of the ASEAN-related meetings on Friday. Now, this marks the first trilateral senior-level meeting of diplomats under the Lee Jae-myung administration. And as you said, the trilateral was quite unexpected, as Vice Minister Park is attending in place of South Korea's yet-to-be-confirmed Foreign Minister nominee Cho Hyun. So the fact that this meeting was held despite Park's deputy status, this rather signifies Washington and Tokyo's strong commitment to trilateral cooperation as well as their diplomacy with Seoul. So what did they discuss? Now, Seoul's foreign ministry says the three sides reaffirmed their shared commitment to the complete denuclearization of North Korea, and they pledged to maintain strong deterrence and expand security cooperation based on their close trilateral coordination. Now, this comes, of course, as Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is due to visit Pyongyang after the ASEAN sessions on Friday for, quote, strategic discussions. Now, at the same time, though, Vice Minister Park explains Seoul's efforts to ease tensions with Pyongyang and resume inter-Korean dialogue, and he called for continued support for this from Washington and Tokyo. The three ministers also exchanged their views on regional dynamics, and they committed to strengthening cooperation in other areas like energy, shipbuilding, supply chain resilience of things like critical minerals and advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence.
Right. Soo-young, if I'm not wrong, the vice minister also participated in regional talks, didn't he?
That's right. As you said, it was the first step of this new administration's regional diplomacy. Park on Friday voiced the new South Korean administration's support for ASEAN-led initiatives for regional peace and prosperity. Co-chairing a meeting of ministers from South Korea and 5 Mekong countries, including Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam, Park highlighted past cooperation on climate change, environment, water resources, rural development. All of these things are directly linked to the livelihoods of the people of the Mekong region. Adopting a joint statement based on their principles for further cooperation, he proposed expanding collaboration to digital transformation and human resources development to help them turn challenges into opportunities. Then at the East Asia Summit, the Vice Foreign Minister reiterated Seoul's commitment to resolving the North Korean nuclear issue. He stressed the need for support for this from the EAS member states and called for their unified message to Pyongyang. Many participants reportedly expressed concern over North Korea's continued weapons development, and they urged that Pyongyang denuclearize and comply with all UN Security Council sanctions, as well as return to dialogue. Now, ASEAN's annual meeting of foreign ministers is the only multilateral forum that North Korea has attended since the year 2000. But Pyongyang appears to have skipped this year's meeting for the first time, given its severed diplomatic ties with the host nation, which is Malaysia, this year.
Right. Soo-young, thank you for keeping us updated. We appreciate it. Also on Friday, South Korea, the U.S. and Japan conducted joint air drills and held high-level talks in Seoul to strengthen deterrence against North Korea's advancing nuclear and missile capabilities. Our Park Jun-han has the details.
South Korea's Ministry of National Defense announced on Friday that it had held a combined air exercise with aircraft from the U.S. and Japan in a joint response to North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. Joint drills were held over international waters south of Jeju Island and marked the first deployment of a B-52H strategic bomber to the Korean peninsula this year and the second trilateral air exercise under the Lee Jae-myung administration. The exercise coincided with the 2025 Trilateral Chiefs of Defense meeting held at the Republic of Korea Joint Chiefs of Staff headquarters in Yongsan, Seoul. Notably, it marked the first visit to South Korea in 15 years by Japan's Chief of Staff. In the meeting, the three countries discussed strengthening their trilateral multi-domain freedom edge exercise and condemned North Korea's continued involvement in nuclear and missile development, as well as its growing military cooperation with Russia. Top military leaders, South Korea's JCS Chairman Admiral Kim Myung-soo, U.S. JCS Chairman General Dan Kane, and Japan's Joint Chief of Staff General Yoshihide Yoshida mentioned cooperation, deterrence, and regional security as their key agenda items.
In the face of North Korea's escalating nuclear and missile threats, it is critical to sustain and build on the momentum of trilateral security cooperation between South Korea, the U.S., and Japan.
The DPRK and China are undergoing an unprecedented military buildup with a clear and unambiguous intent to move forward with their own agendas.
As the situation in the Indo-Pacific region is becoming increasingly complex, uncertain, and ambiguous, we will use this meeting as a starting point to further develop our cooperation so that trilateral cooperation can become a key pillar for peace and stability in the region.
Following their remarks, the three leaders held a closed-door meeting before issuing a joint statement. They also visited the Republic of Korea Navy's Second Fleet in Pyeongtaek, Gyeonggi-do Province to pay tribute to the 46 sailors lost in the sinking of the ROKS Cheonan in 2010. 박준환, Arirang News.
The minimum wage for next year has been set at 10,320 Korean won. Now that's about $7.50. The settlement was produced through the very first agreement between all the negotiating parties in 17 years. Our Kim Bo-kyung has more.
Starting next year, the hourly minimum wage would be 10,320 Korean won, around $7.50. This as the Minimum Wage Commission reached an agreement on Thursday to raise the minimum wage by 290 Korean won, that is 2.9% from this year's minimum wage of 10,030 Korean won per hour. If one works a standard monthly workload of 209 hours, the new minimum wage translates to a monthly income of 2,156,881. The commission is made up of 9 representatives, each from labor, management, and the general public, obliged to review the new minimum wage by mid-July for the labor minister to make a formal announcement by early August every year. This year's decision marks the first agreement reached among the three sides in 17 years. If an agreement cannot be made, the increase is decided by majority vote. The 2.9% increase is the lowest first-year hike under any administration since 2000, though minimum wage increases tend to be higher than average in the first year of a new administration. During first year of the Moon Jae-in administration, the minimum wage was raised by more than 16%, while for the first year of the Yoon Suk-yeol administration, it went up by 5%. The management side said they agreed to the decision after much deliberation.
It was a very difficult decision, made based on the thought that it would be better to support harmony and unity as the new government begins, rather than create more conflict.
While the labor side said the government should come up with measures to help low-paid workers.
It would be the Lee Jae-myung administration's task to deal with any areas that are insufficient. It must come up with strong measures to help low-wage workers cover their living costs.
After the commission submits an agreed minimum wage for next year to the Labor Ministry, the ministry will finalize and announce it by August 5th after the review process. The new rate will take effect starting the very first day of January next year. The presidential office called the commission's decision significant and added that the government will actively ensure the minimum wage is followed through promotion, guidance, and supervision. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
South Korea's main stock index is on a tear, hitting levels not seen in nearly 4 years, as policy hopes and chips drive investor optimism. Now, in addition, the market already seems to be immune to U.S. tariff threats. Our Kim Do-yeon has this report.
The benchmark KOSPI once again hit a new yearly high during intraday trading on Friday, surpassing the 3,200 mark briefly for the first time in 3 years and 10 months, at one point reaching 3,216. But it was a mixed trend as it fell later to close at 3,175.77, following a strong sell-off by foreign and institutional investors that caused it to briefly turn negative during the session. Boosted by overnight gains in shares of U.S. tech, major Korean semiconductor stocks saw simultaneous strength. SK Hynix rose more than 3% during the session, briefly surpassing the 300,000 Korean won mark for the first time. The KOSDAQ also opened slightly higher and reclaimed the 800 level during intraday trading for the first time in 12 sessions. The total market capitalization also surpassed 3,000 trillion won for the first time. While there are some concerns about a breather after the rapid short-term rally, the overall view is that upward momentum remains intact.
It seems that continued expectations for the new administration's policies are still prompting some market funds to flow into the stock market. In addition, hopes for further discussions, such as on dividend taxes following the recent amendments to the Commercial Act, also appear to be having a positive impact on the domestic stock market.
This comes after Thursday when the KOSPI closed at 3,183.23, its highest finish in 3 years and 10 months. Comparing Friday's close to the lowest of the year on April 9th, the KOSPI is up around 38.5% in a matter of 3 months. With reciprocal tariffs from the U.S. scheduled to take effect next month, the market largely believes these concerns have already been priced in. Expectations for interest rate cuts and an additional stock market stimulus are also seen as supporting investor sentiment. The previous all-time high for the KOSPI was 3,316.08 points, recorded on June 25, 2021, and hopes are growing in the securities industry that this level could be surpassed soon. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And now, for those of you in Seoul looking for things to do indoors away from the heat wave this weekend, there's a new exhibition that portrays Hangeul as more than just a language, but as a powerful form of visual art. Our Pyeongbo tells us more.
Geometric beauty and fluid structure, materialized in black ink. Korean calligraphy, or Hangeul Seo Hee, is an art form rooted in rhythm, balance, and the expressive power of the written line. Hangeul offers a unique aesthetic language of its own, one that is now being rediscovered as a distinct art form. A new retrospective at the Seoul Arts Center shines a spotlight on this very tradition through the work of a master who dedicated his entire career to breaking away from the better-known Chinese characters and elevating Hangeul calligraphy into high art. Pyeongbo Seo Hee-hwan.
Master Seo Hee-hwan's artist pseudonym, Pyeongbo, meaning to walk steadily without rest, was given by his teacher, Son Jae-hyung. It reflects the idea that even slow progress leads to mastery, as long as you don't stop.
Although he was the first artist to receive the Presidential Prize for a work of Hangeul calligraphy, his work also drew criticism for resembling his teacher's style. Seo accepted the critique and embarked on a journey to find his own voice. That journey began with the return to the roots of Hangeul. In a section titled Deep-Rooted Tree, we see how Seo turned to early printed text from the time of King Sejong. This is Seo Hee-hwan's interpretation of Worin Cheongangjigok, or Songs of the Moon's Reflection on 1,000 Rivers. Originally compiled by King Sejong, the creator of Hangeul, it's a Buddhist hymn book dedicated to his late wife, Queen Soan. The interpretation by Seo Hee-hwan contains around 10,000 Hangeul characters on a single folding screen. By studying the typeface-like Panbonche styles from early Joseon, Seo grounded himself in the fundamentals of Hangeul and gradually shaped a calligraphic language that was uniquely his own. He explored more artistic styles as well, like this piece where the brush naturally flows into the next character. Commemorating 30 years since Seo's passing, the exhibition runs until mid-October at the Seoul Calligraphy Art Museum Gallery, and there are also programs where visitors can try their hand at Hangeul calligraphy. This retrospective gives visitors the chance to see up front that Hangeul Seo Hee is more than just writing. It's visual art, where each stroke carries emotion and history. Pyeongbo, Arirang News.
It is a Friday, which means it's time for arts and culture. We have our culture correspondent, Choi Soo-hyung, here in the studio. Welcome back, Soo-hyung.
Happy to be back here.
You know, it's been 2 weeks, but a long time no see. But I know you do have some exciting stories from abroad. You went to Spain.
Yes, I went to Spain where this year's Korea season has been taking place. In 2022, South Korean Cultural Ministry launched the Korea Season project aiming to promote the Korean culture, vivid richness of Korean culture to the world. One country is selected each year that has a strong potential to spread Korean culture, offering a year-long series of cultural programs. This year, Spain was chosen following the United Kingdom in 2023 and France in 2024 in hopes of making this year a more meaningful one for cultural exchanges, especially as South Korea and Spain mark the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations.
You know, Soo-young, I've seen the dance performance and your reports that you covered this week. And how was the performance in person? Tell us.
Yes, I covered a performance that represents the season. You know, in capital Madrid, there is a cultural landmark named Matadero Art Theatre. It was once used as a slaughterhouse and market, but now it has changed into a cultural site. You know, Spain is a country renowned for its dance and passion, and Korean also loves dance and music as well, sharing
we do.
Yeah, sharing very many similarities. There was a special dance performance blending traditional and modern Korean dance. 3 Korean teams recognized both at home and internationally in festivals like the Edinburgh Fringe took part. The theme was 2 cultures, 1 heart, showcasing Korean traditional and contemporary dance with Spanish artistry, marking a powerful highlight of this year's Korea season. And for the encore, the highlight of the performance, the entire audience danced together to the Korean folk song 강강술래, a circle dance as one, a true moment of cultural harmony. Away from the stage, displays introducing Korean musicals and traditional dessert, representing the taste and sours of Korea, a treat for the eyes and taste buds. Local media outlets responded very positively, and visitors also really enjoyed it.
The performance was amazing. It was a mix between what you can know about contemporary dance and things you didn't know about Korean, but you can interpret or think about. I want to see more. I want to go to home and searching YouTube and see more performances.
It's very funny. We are so far, but we have the same system to protect our identity through the culture, through the tradition, through the idea to move the tradition to another way to be, to express. So the past and the future, always together, always dancing together.
The reactions were exactly what the artistic director of the 2025 Korea season, Kim Shin-ah, had hoped for. She wanted to create a show people would want to see again, even years later, with an open and positive mindset, and she clearly succeeded.
Right. So jealous you got to see a glimpse of the performance. Now, Soo-young, you told us the Korean season will offer a year-long series of cultural performances. What can Spain enjoy for the rest of the year?
Yeah, through the end of this year, a dynamic cultural journey will unfold across Spain, not just in Madrid. In particular, the Korean Cultural Center in Spain is set to host around 60 events throughout the year. And the center is carrying out efforts to expand Korean culture from fine arts, literature, webtoon, fashion, beyond just K-pop. And these are the key events remaining in the 2025 Korea season. In September, K-Webtoon Festival, K-Content Expo, and K-Beauty Festival are awaiting visitors to showcase the country's cultural range. Also, the center has designated October as Literature Month, promoting Korean literature as a focus country at Madrid's Libat International Book Fair and the guest country at Barcelona's Cosmopolis International Festival of Literature.
A lot still remaining to enjoy for the rest of the year if any of us has a chance to visit Spain within the year. Hopefully, the Korea season ends on a high note this year. Soo-young, thank you for coming in tonight.
My pleasure.
Seoul broke out of the tropical nights for the first time in 12 days this morning, falling to 24.6 degrees Celsius. However, there are still many places in the west of the country where tropical nights appeared. For the time being, tropical nights will continue around the country. The western parts of the country have been experiencing a severe heat wave throughout the week. With heat wave warnings in place, the daytime temperature soared to 36 degrees in Seoul today. The East Coast areas took a break from the heat today. Tomorrow, this heat wave will appear mainly in the western areas. Morning will start warm tomorrow at 20 to 25 degrees across the country. Daily highs will move up to 36 degrees in Seoul, Gyeongju, Busan, Jeju, 30 degrees. Rain is expected only on Jeju Island during this weekend. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. Thanks for watching and good night.